When we think about meme defenders, a few names may enter your mind. Harry Maguire, Phil Jones, or maybe even Eric Dyer. But the title of greatest meme defender of all time goes to one man and one man only. That's Shkodran Mustafi, a name that brings back trauma for many Arsenal fans. A World Cup winning defender who made it right to the very top of the footballing world, but came crashing down just as fast. Our story begins in 2014, as it only takes 2 seasons with Sampdoria for Mustafi to catch the attention of La Liga giants Valencia, signing for a rumored £8 million. He debuted for his new team on the 25th of September against Cordoba in a 3-0 home win, and just a month later he scored his first goal for the team, opening a 3-1 home win over Elche. At this point, the consensus among Valencia fans was clear. They had a real gem on their hands. This is what Valencia fan Andrew Gaffney said when asked to describe Mustafi's game. He's a traditional no-nonsense type of defender who isn't afraid to put his body on the line to break up the opposition's attack. He's comfortable on the ball but isn't likely to go charging up the pitch. Talking about his long-range passing, that's an area that he's currently working on. For the most part, Mustafi is positionally strong. Although he has been caught out a couple of times when he's overcommitted to a challenge around the halfway line, that isn't the norm. Mind you, he's actually very good at reading the play, and more often than not, his challenges come out to perfection. And to say Mustafi was a brilliant defender for Valencia would be a huge understatement. His best season for the club came in the 15-16 season, where his average SofaScore rating was a 7.28, which if we compare to other La Liga defenders such as Rafael Varane's 7.2 and Barcelona's Gerard Piqué's 7.11, that just goes to show you how impressive of a season he had. And if we want to go even deeper and look into his real defending stats, those are even crazier. If we compare his stats to prime Virgil van Dijk in the 18-19 season, they're actually surprisingly very close, with Mustafi beating Virgil in tackles per game, interceptions per game, and even clearances per game. But keep in mind they do play in 2 different leagues. And on top of that, football isn't a game that can really be measured when it comes to stats. Just because a player has higher or lower numbers than another, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're better. It could be a multitude of things affecting the stats, like for example how your team plays, the players around you, or even just how good the opposition is. So of course, please take it with a grain of salt. Bringing us perfectly to the summer of 2016, which after an insane season with club Valencia and an even more impressive World Cup campaign with Germany, in which Mustafi initially joined the squad as a mere backup before forcing his way into the first team, making appearances against Portugal and Ghana in the group stages, and even starting their round of 16 tie against Algeria. Unfortunately though, he was withdrawn at the 70th minute mark due to an apparent hamstring injury, and didn't play another minute in their World Cup winning campaign. But this was all Arsenal needed to see, as they splashed the cash and paid Valencia a whopping £35 million for the World Cup winner signature. And honestly, people tend to forget that his tenure with the Gunners started off really well, as he made his debut for the club in a 2-1 win over Southampton, before leading Arsenal to a 17-game unbeaten run. And funnily enough, as soon as Mustafi picked up an injury, that's when their unbeaten run came to an end, with a 2-0 loss to Southampton, 2-1 loss to both Everton and Man City coming without Mustafi. I mean, just look at these graphics. My boy Mustafi was really cooking, but little did he know that this would be the pinnacle of his Arsenal career. Fast forward to the end of the season, Arsenal finished in 5th place, barely missing out on top 4 by a mere 1 point. If we look at Mustafi's personal season, it was surprisingly decent. He had an average match rating of 7.14 throughout the campaign, while also having some very decent defensive stats, with a total of 8 clean sheets, 2.4 interceptions per game, 2.1 tackles, and 5 clearances per game. But don't take my word for it. This is what some of the Arsenal's fans said after his first season. Anonymous said, "Considering it was his first season in a new country and league, I would say it was very solid. I expect that the injury slowed him down a bit, but he's still shockingly youngish and should improve as he gains more experience with the club and the league." Wilshere said, "Represents a typical Arsenal season. Looked like a world beater for a few months, then an injury, a bad patch followed by a late resurgence. In the coming seasons, he needs to work on his potential awareness and discipline. Still a great buy nonetheless." And Dayfruit said, decent first season. Some mishaps that can hopefully be attributed to teething errors in a new league and higher level of competition. Expect a reasonable improvement next season to justify the price. Moving on to 2017-18, which was an average season for Mustafi. This was where his mistakes truly started to show. Despite starting the campaign decently with either low 7s or high 6s, he would have some absolute shocking games. Starting off with a 3.4 performance against Manchester United, where he was basically running like a headless chicken before giving the ball straight to Lukaku, who assisted Lingard as they got the opening goal at the Emirates. Before dropping a 5.8 against Manchester City, where he forgets how to header a ball, leading Sergio Aguero to go down the other end and chip Petr Cech. And then he went on his annual 5-6 decent game run before dropping another howler against Southampton, in which he had a 5.6 match rating as he gets caught ball watching, leading Adam Armstrong to slot the ball into the bottom corner. Keep in mind, these were just the mistakes that led to goals. This doesn't include the countless errors that he made all throughout the season. And so, to this point, Arsenal fans had had enough.
Mustafi again, fam. Told man about this guy, blood. Seriously, fam. The guy's embarrassing, blood. He's one of the worst defenders I've ever seen in this club, fam. One of the worst, blood.
I want to know who scouted him for £35 million. I want to know who scouted him, and it said, yeah, we'll pay that amount of money, because he's an absolute joke.
And Mustafi, I never ever want to see that guy in an Arsenal shirt again. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. When we play Valencia, take him over there, drop him off, tell him we don't want a refund, just take him back. Just take him back. I'll pay for the flight there.
And so this poor run of form led to Arsenal's official YouTube channel dropping a video in which Mustafi apologizes to the fans for his lackluster performances before explaining how difficult he thinks it is to play as a defender in the Premier League.
You win everything on the pitch, but then you make one mistake and you get punished for it. You know, it just destroys everything that you did before. And this is something that makes this position so hard. With the social media in these days, it's difficult to handle. It's difficult to handle when things are going good and when things are not working out. You read comments that you don't like, and then you have to go out and you have those comments in your head that we are only humans. We cannot switch off our brain, so it's going to be there. Once you read it, it's going to be there.
And so, throughout the next 2 to 3 seasons, it was the same old Mustafi. He would start off with having 5 to 6 matches of an average performance before making a bombshell mistake which costed Arsenal the game, then getting benched for 1 to 2 games, and then, because Arsenal's defense was absolutely shockingly bad, the cycle would just start over and over and over again. And so, in my opinion, Mustafi wasn't that bad of a defender, generally speaking. He even had some really good moments for the club. But the issue with him is that while his best, he was a very solid defender, his lows were absolutely shockingly bad, and they eventually became more common than his highs. On top of that, there were games where he looked really good for 85 minutes of the game, and then all of a sudden he'd have a howler leading to a goal at a crucial point in the game. He just had some horrendous mental lapses that snowballed to a point where you could just see that his confidence was dead shot. And maybe if Arsenal had signed it for, let's say, 20 million, 15 million, or even 10 million, and then the pressure of coming in as that savior of a defender would not be on him. But because of the inflated 35 million fee that he came in for, which at the time was huge for a defender, fans judged his performances based off of that. And so, bringing us to now, where Mustafi is currently a free agent despite being 31 years of age. And don't feel too bad for the guy, because he even had a second and even a third chance at redemption in the footballing world. With short stints at Schalke and Levante, somehow he managed to get both teams relegated. How is this possible? And apparently he was even named relegated player of the season for his shocking performances. Where have I seen that one before, huh? Sounds familiar. That's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys don't mind, smash the like, subscribe if you're new. And to show you made it to the end of the video, tell me in the comments down below, yes or no, is Mustafi the worst signing Arsenal have had ever of all time? Take care and peace.